This conference will now be recorded.
No, Chandra, like I'm working on it, but still I need to work on yesterday classes. So yeah,
Okay.
until now I'm fine.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So in our yesterday's class, we were discussing about creating one data table or data type for hospital section. No? So there we have created one data type. It will be creating 6 automatic rules. That is important. And once the rules are created, we have just inserted the data using our external Excel sheet. And from there, our requirement is to make this data table as a source to the drop down. So for that, we have created 3 drop down values, one for the region and the state and the hospital. So for the state drop down, we will be giving this corresponding state table as the source, and for the hospital drop down, we will be giving this particular hospital table as the source. In order to use the data that is in the data class, that's in the data type, we can able to retrieve it in 3 ways. That is what we have seen. We can able to retrieve using one data page, or we can able to retrieve the same data using clipboard page, or we can able to retrieve the data using report definition. So now that's why PRPC will be automatically creating data pages and report definition for us. Whenever we are creating data type, we'll be having one data pages and report definition created. No, okay. So that's why it will be creating automatically. And for the clipboard, that is like activity, it will not create anything. I'll tell you the reason why. Okay. And if you want to use clipboard, we have to get the data onto the clipboard first. So in order to get the data onto the clipboard, we have to use one more rule called activity. So activity is one of the business rule using which we can able to create one page onto the clipboard. Once we get the data ready onto the clipboard, we can able to access it as a source to the drop down. So that is our approach. Okay. So in that approach, we're discussing about the activities and its uses. So yesterday we have created 2 activities, one for the test 1, and another is test 2. So in this we are creating one new page using page new. So page new is a method which is to create one new page onto the clipboard. And call branch queue. These 3 are the methods or instructions which are meant for calling one activity into another activity. Using call branch, output will be same, meaning the behavior will be synchronous behavior. Parent activity will be waiting for the child activity. Once the child activity execution is completely done, the rule calling has to come to main rule, that is parent activity, and execution will be starting from there. Okay, wherever it is stopped, execution will be resumed. That is with the call method. And if I am using branch activity in order to call another activity, then parent activity has to be started, then it has to wait for the child activity to be completed, and then after it will be coming back to the parent activity, and it will not continue any of the remaining steps. This is important. They will be asking you questions on difference between call and branch methods. And this call and branch performance is like an synchronous meaning one will be waiting for the another. Those both will be in a sync. One has to wait for the another, one after the other. But with the queue method, parent activity will not wait for the child activity and child will not wait for the parent. Both the executions will be done parallelly. So that's why this behavior is called as an asynchronous behavior. So these are all the important things. And there will be other methods like OBJ methods. We'll discuss about that now. And if I want to interact my application with some database, either internal database or external database, that can be done using activities, and there should be we have to use some methods. No, so let me add one step here. So if you put the cursor here and click on add step will be added below that. I want to add step number 4, so just click on here, the last step, and click on add step. So now what I'm trying to say here is I want to interact with the database. So in order to interact with the database using activities, I will be having 2 set of methods. One is like OBJ methods and other is like RDB methods. So RDB methods mainly we use for the external database. When we're trying to interact with the external database, which is not like pega rules, we'll be using that. And OBJ methods we'll be using mainly for internal database. But vice versa is also possible that most of the people doesn't know. We'll discuss this when we're dealing with connect rules, the connect SQL rules. Okay, now what I'm trying to say is if I want to extract any of the data from database. So here we have created two database tables. So for hospital we have created one table, and for the states we have created one table. Now our approach should be, if I want to extract any of the details from the states table, it might be either single record I want to pull out, or I can able to pull the multiple records, and if or I can able to get all the records, or I can able to get a record based on some conditions. If I want to get a record, like if I want to get the list of states starting with A or B or C, any kind of things. If I want to retrieve any kind of data using database, sorry, using activities, we have to use some OBJ methods. Okay. So we'll be using mainly 6 type of OBJ methods in order to retrieve the data. That is OBJ open, OBJ browse, OBJ delete, OBJ save. All these OBJ methods are interacting with the database only. OBJ open by handle and OBJ delete by handle. Okay, so these will be widely used in order to interact with the database. Suppose if I want to get some list of the tables, sorry, list of the data from states table. So there will be one table connected for the state table in the backend we have seen, and there will be one class connected to this. Okay, if I want to see the data from the PRPC itself, okay, if I want to see all the states data from the PRPC itself, what I can able to do, I should be knowing the class name. Without the class name I cannot able to get it. So for this class we have data. I want to see the data here for the states. So go to data designer and click on records. We can able to see the data here. And now if I want to get the same list of data from the database, what I have to do, I have to get the table connected to this class, and from there I can able to use this. Okay, so whenever I'm using this OBJ activities or OBJ methods in order to interact with the databases, PRPC will be automatically constructing one query in the background. You need not write any queries in order to pull the data from database or from this class. Both are same. We need not write any queries. So PRPC has an internal mechanism to generate any of the queries, and these methods are meant for interacting with the database. Suppose if I want to get only one instance from the state table, only for one instance, then we have to go for OBJ open. So if I am using this OBJ open, I have to give this table name or the class name. Based on that, PRPC will be retrieving only one record. If I have 100 records in this table, PRPC will be ultimately getting only one record. Here we have to provide the condition. Okay, based on the condition we will be getting only one record, and if we want to get only single record, we have to go for OBJ open. And OBJ browse. OBJ browse meaning it will be pulling all the records. So if I just give OBJ browse method and this class name, whatever the class I have here, if I just give the class name here, automatically by default it will be pulling all the results. All the 100 results will be pulled out, and by default we will be defining with some page name, no, like page new, we'll be defining some pages, no, page 1 or 2, and whatever the data we are getting, that we has to be stored onto clipboard. Ultimately we have to access or we have to process the generated data from the clipboard only. So activity duty here is with OBJ open, we have to give the class name, and based on the condition it will be pulling one single record, and with that single record it has to be placing on the one page onto the clipboard. From the clipboard we will be accessing it. Similarly with the OBJ browse, if I just give the class name, it will be pulling all the results by default, and if you want to restrict that also you can able to do that. So this is for multiple instances pulling, and this is for the single instance pulling. Okay, and OBJ delete. So if you want to delete any of the record, not only single one, if you want to delete multiple also you can able to do that. If you want to delete records from the particular table, we have to use this method, and we have to give the class name. From the class name, PRPC can automatically get the table name using database mapping rule, and from there it will be deleting the data from database, and then it will be refreshed into the class data also. We'll discuss this. And this is for OBJ save. OBJ save meaning if you want to insert the data or if you want to update the data, anything for both the scenarios, we will be going for obj open. So if I give obj open, sorry, obj save, no, with this obj save, I can able to either insert new record or I can able to update the existing record. When we are using obj open, we have to give the class name, that is this one, and we have to give the class key. Class key meaning state code here. For this class, what is the primary key we have given? State code, no? So state code has to be given. So class name, what is the class name and what's the class key? So this is what it is asking. We have to provide these two values. Suppose if I'm providing class name as states, okay, then it will be searching, that will be accessing the data there. And if I'm providing the class name, sorry, class key as AP, let us say, and this is an existing record which is already there. So in this particular class, whatever the class key I'm trying to give is already existing, and whatever the new data we are trying to insert or we are trying to make modification, that will be acting like an update query. Understanding? Suppose I'm having like Andhra Pradesh. So this is already existing. We can able to see this. AP, we have Andhra Pradesh. And now if I'm trying to use obj save, and in that I'm trying to give the class name as this one and class key as this one, and the new value I'm giving like something like this. So it will not bother about the existing value what is already there. It will be just searching for the key, and if the class key is already there, AP value is already there, and it will be updating this value here. So this value will be replaced this value. Okay, suppose if I am using this obj save in this scenario like ty or py, let us say, and giving like Pondicherry. Okay, now in this case, what it will be doing, it will be performing obj save first, and it will be searching for the class key. In that, sorry, it will be searching for the class name. In that class name, it will be identifying whether this class key is there or not. So here there is no class like py. Okay, if there is no class here, then it will be adding a new record py. Here it will be adding like Pondicherry. Understood, no? So based on the class key, if the class key is already existing, then whatever the thing we are trying to give here, it will be acting like an update query. If you are not having the class key already inserted here, it will be acting like an insert query. We'll have a very detailed discussion about all this. Now I'm just giving you an overview of this. That's it. So you understood now about obj save and obj open by handle and obj delete by handle. So the purpose of these two is almost same. Obj open we already discussed, and obj delete we already discussed. So the purpose of this is if you want to get single instance, then we have to give the unique identity. So for each and every rule, there will be one unique identity called pzDNS key that we'll discuss. So if you know the unique identity of that particular rule, instead of we giving the class name here, we can able to give that unique identity. So ultimately, the purpose of this obj open is also to get the single instance only, but with another approach. And the purpose of this is also to delete the single instance with another approach without giving the class name. We'll discuss about this. So you understood about first four, no? If you understand this will be nothing here. So obj open is to get only single instance from the table what we are giving, and obj browse is to get the multiple instances, and obj delete is to delete the multiple instance, and obj save, we can able to save the multiple instance where it can able to act like an update query or the insert query. So you understood now? So now we'll be working on one requirement. Our this is already the requirement we already discussed. Our requirement here is I want to make this states value. I mean the data into the data from this states data type has to be given as a source to the state dropdown. Okay, in that process, what I have to do, first thing I can able to select any of the source like report definition or the data page or the clipboard. Now I'm trying to select the clipboard. So if I want to get any page onto the clipboard, as per our knowledge so far, what we can able to do, we can able to run one activity. If I run the activity, I will be creating one new page in that like page new, and I will be using obj browse. If I use these methods, one new page will be created on the clipboard, and I will be getting multiple instances. Why? Because I'm using obj browse here. Okay, I'll be getting multiple instances, and this page will be created on the clipboard. Once I get the page created on the clipboard, I can able to give this page as a source to that particular dropdown. then I will be getting all the drop down values. This is my approach. And in the next drop down, like hospital, we can able to work with another approach, like working with report definition or working with data pages, anything. So ultimately the purpose of these three rules is to get the data from data type. Understood, no, both of you?
Yes, Chandra.
Uma, you also know? So you understood
Yes.
about these
Yeah.
methods, no?
Mm.
Now our requirement here is we have to create one new activity, and in that activity I will be using one Obj Browse, and with that I will be pulling all the instances of this table. What are all the records I have here? I will be pulling all these instances. Why? Because in the drop down I want to pull all the instances, no? I want to get the state value like Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, everything. I have to get the list of all the states, not only one state. If I want to get only one state value in that activity, I will be using Obj Open, not the Obj Browse. But here our requirement here is we have to get all the list of state values. Okay, then I have to go for Obj Browse. So let me create one new activity. I'm trying to create one new activity. You can able to see here. If you just start typing Obj, we can able to see all this. Okay. So now I'm trying to create one activity. It will be under technical category. So I want to pull states. So that's why I'm giving the name like this. So first thing what we have to do is we can able to create one new page. So if we are creating any new page, then automatically that page will be created on the clipboard. If you are not creating any page, page will not be created. But one thing what you have to remember here is when you are using Obj Browse, let me show you first with Obj Open. Let me explain things what I have just discussed. So if I'm giving Obj Open here, okay, just open this. Why? Because we have to give the class name, no? I want to pull one record from which class? I have to provide the class name also. Here I will be pulling the class, I will be giving the class name. Like CHG states, I can able to give the class name here, and I want to pull the property value. Okay, this is one thing. And here, if whatever the results I'm getting, what are the results I'm getting here, where it will be stored without creating one new page. So whenever we are using Obj Open, first thing what you have to do is we have to create one new page. Why? Because under Obj Open we are not seeing any option like giving the page name. So why I'm telling this is if you are using Obj Browse, which is meant for creating pulling multiple instances. If you open this, here we have to give the class name from where I want to get the multiple instances, and here there will be one more option like page name. So what are the results we are trying to get from this Obj class? Wherever you want to store, that is what it is asking, and this is mandatory. So we have to give the page name here. Okay. So whenever you are using Obj Browse, we need not create any page new. Page new method purpose is to create one new page onto the clipboard. But here, if I create, suppose if I create page new, one new page will be created, and it is also again asking for the another page. Okay, so waste of creating two different pages, no? So I need not go for page new method. You got, no? Whenever we are working with Obj Browse, if you expand this, it will be asking for the class name from where it has to get the multiple instances, and apart from this, it is asking about the page name also. So we have to provide the page name here only, here also, if you are going for page new. So then I need not go for page new method. Understood? So from which class I want to get the data? So this is the class. In this class we have all the data. No? So if you observe, PRPC will not be asking anywhere the table name. So there should be one table connected to this, and even in that table also will be having data. But PRPC will nowhere ask you about the table name. It will be only asking about the class name. So based on the class name only, it can able to generate one query, and based on that, it can able to identify the database table connected to the using mapping rule. Once the table has been identified, it will be getting the data and it will be showing it here. So this all happens internally only. We need not remember the table names, and we will not bother about the table names also. Only thing we'll be bothering about the class names. So if I just define the class name, that's it. PRPC can able to do its work. Just defining the class name. Okay. I'm giving something like state list. So uncheck this as of now. I'll tell you the importance in the coming classes when we're discussing with PZ dynasties. And now here we have to select the fields. So by default, in the states data type, we have three values. I mean three headings. So with this Obj Browse, what are all the properties you want to fill out? I mean, what are all the headings you want to get it? So I want to display only this part in my drop down source. If you want to only one, you can able to do that. So just click on dot, we can able to see all the properties from this class. This is the class name we are defining, no? So that's why it will be asked, we'll be getting the values populated from that class only. If I select state code, now save this and run. Run this. So let me see it on the clipboard, or the tracer also you can able to do that. So state list is the page created. Okay. So in our yesterday's class, when we are discussing about page new, what we have defined, we have just given one new page. We have just created one, used one page new method, and we are defining one step page. So the step page has to be linked to one class. That is what we have mentioned in the pages and classes. But now we are not defining any step page here, and we are not linking any page here. Directly we are defining the page, and PRPC will be automatically linking that state list page will be referring to this class. Okay. And now if I just check in the clipboard, my expectation is this page has to be created and it has to get all the state code values, only the state code. Why? Because I'm mentioning only the state code here. If you want to get the state name also, we can able to add it. I'll show you. So this page has to be created on the clipboard referring to this class. This is my expectation. Let me check it in the clipboard. So the page has been created. And if we just check, this page is been referenced to some other class, code pega list. So is this the class we have defined to this page? No. This is the page we have defined to this class. Got it? Getting my point? But we are seeing in the clipboard like this particular state list is referring to some other class. So just expand that. And here we are seeing something like pxResults. So if we just click on that, we are not getting any results. My expectation here is I should be getting state codes like AP, TN, KL, likewise. On clicking on that, I'm not getting any results. And there is something like pxResults. So sorry, just expand that. We are getting many results here, like pxResults of 1, 2, 3, so forth. And whatever the result we are getting here, it is linked to the class what I'm expecting. Okay, so you just click on each and every result. We're getting the state code. Click on the second result where we are getting the state code as AS. Click on the third record. So these are all the things what I'm actually expecting. But here it is storing like one record in one page. So let me add the other two values also. It will be easy for you. So using this Obj Browse, I can able to get the records in the multiple instances, and each and every instance will be occupying one page. So in database, this is one instance, or this is one record. Okay, and this is another record. Likewise, we have 10 or 15, 18 records here. Likewise, we have 18 records. Whenever I'm using Obj Browse, in turn it has to pull 18 instances as per this table definition. And in the clipboard or in the tracer, PRPC will be considering each and every instance as one page. That is what we are seeing. Let me explain this much better after some time. And if I want to get some other values also, so just click on plus, and I want to get the state name as well. Just to select the state name. Check this. And I want to get the region value as well. Select this. Save. So now let me run it. Click on clipboard directly. So just click on this. So the first result, I mean the first page, this is one page, no? So the first page is having three different values, that is state code, state name, and region. And the second page is having the second record. If we just compare it here, okay, one page is having one record. One record might be having n number of values as per that we define it in the database. And the second page is having the values related to the second record, like state code as AS, state name as Assam, and region as East. That is what we are seeing here. So each and every page will be having the data related to one record. Okay. So if you are in yesterday's class, we have just seen like what's that, page new, no? So in page new, what we have seen, one new page will be created, and on clicking on that new page, we are seeing the first name property as Chandra or Pega. So that is one of the page. And now here we are seeing multiple pages. Okay. So each and every page will be considered or will be having the complete details of one record. So how many records I have, PRPC will be creating those many pages if I am using Obj Browse. So finally, Obj Browse will be getting the multiple instances. Each and every instance has to be stored into one separate page. Okay. So all the result, the first result will be referring to this class. We agree with this, no? And the second result also will be having the data related to this class. That is what we are seeing here. And the third is also related to this class. All the results like pxResults of 1 to pxResults of 18, all the corresponding data are like an 18 different records of this particular table. That's what we are seeing. This is one page related to this class, this class. That is what we are seeing here. And all these pages are grouped into one thing like pxResults. If you collapse this, we can able to see it here. So this is one page where it is having group of pages, and technically we call this as a page list. So finally, page list is a collection of pages, and every page will be given with one indexing, like pxResults of 1, pxResults of 2, and all the results are to be given in particular order starting from 1. And each and every page will be given with one record as per the database. So ultimately what I'm trying to say here is, whenever we are trying to use Obj Browse, where it has to get the multiple instances, PRPC will be pulling all the data onto clipboard in one page list format. So pxResults is one OOTB page list. We have not created this page list. So PRPC will be creating one OOTB page list like pxResults, and this will be storing the multiple records. Each and every record will be considered as an one different page referring to that particular data class. So understanding, no, both of you?
Sandra, yeah,
Yeah.
In this clipboard page, the pxObj class is the data class, right? But the py class name and py names.
So whatever the class name we are defining it here, that has to be observed in the pxObj class only.
Okay.
So this is the thing what we have to consider all the time. This will not be using it anywhere.
Okay.
So not only in this case, if you are trying to get the pzins key, if you're not sure, no problem. If you want to get any of the class which is related to this, okay, then we will be linking, we'll be checking for the pxObj class only. Suppose if you are given access to the database, and if you know one table name, and if you don't know that particular table is linked to which class, getting my point? I'm trying to tell in the reverse approach. So if you know the class name, we can able to identify the table name using by just checking for the definition. And now I'm trying to tell you the reverse approach. There is one table in the database where you have given access to the DB, and in the table name you're finding some data. And if you want to see the data into PRPC, we have to identify the class name. Understanding? Unless you get this class name, we cannot able to get the data in PRPC. And from database, how can we get the class name? There will be one OOTB property called pxObj class. There will be one column heading there. So in the pxObj class, we have to identify the class name, and based on that we can able to search in the App Explorer, and from there we can able to go to records and identify the data. So ultimately we will be using pxObj class only. when you're working with py work page, so when you create one new work object, go to py work page and click on that page. There also will be identifying the py work page is reference to some class, and that will be linked using pxObj class. That is the importance of that. It will be holding the class name wherever we are referring that. Got it?
Yes.
So Uma, you clear now about this page list?
Yeah, I understand, but I need to implement it. Yeah.
Yes. So whenever we are using obj open, so obj open like is getting only single instance, no? So in that purpose, do we have this pxResults created? pxResults will not be created. Why? Because that is only single instance. Single instance data we can able to see directly as the page, and if we click on that page, we can able to get the data, just like what we have seen yesterday. Here we have created one page new method and we have defined the step page. Now, if we just click on the step page, we can able to see the first name property what we are seeing earlier. Now, whenever you are using obj, when you're going for obj browse, where we can able to get the multiple instances, PRPC will be using page list, not the page. So these are all the pages. Yesterday, what we have discussed, those are all the pages. Page will be having some group of properties like first name, last name, age, mobile, gender. And page list will be having group of pages. Each and every page will be having the same, each and every page will be having its own properties. So this is the page list. Page list meaning it's a collection of pages. Here it is having 18 pages, 18 different pages. So first page is having this data and second page is having this data. So till yesterday what we have seen, we'll be having one direct page like this, referring to one class, not only data class, referring to one class. And if we just click on that particular page, we'll be getting this data directly visible. But now with Obj Browse, we have to get the multiple instances. Each and every instance has to be stored on one page. So even when we are creating the work object ID, in the first screen, whatever the data we enter, like first name, last name, after we click on submit button, just go to clipboard. If we just click on clipboard, the data like first name, all these properties will be linked on one single page. If we just click on that single page referring to that particular class, we can able to see the data right side. Why? Because that is one single instance. That's a single page which will be having group of properties. Here also the same. This is one single page having group of properties. And this page data is different, this is different, this is different. So all these pages will be combined and we will be having it one OOTB page list. So pxResults is one OOTB page list which will be having group of pages. Each and every page will be having one single record as per the table structure. Okay. So my next question here is pxResults of 1 is having the data related to my data class. That is why it is referring here. And now this state list, why it is referring to code pega list? So this is interview question. So you understood the question now? We have nowhere defined about this code pega list. We have just defined this one state list, and we have not defined this pxResults also. But using Obj Browse, we are seeing this pxResults page list has been used, and each and every page is linked up with one of the database records. So in interviews, they will be asking you why the Obj Browse page is linked to code pega list. If you just search in PRPC about this pxResults, so this is the property, no? Page list is also one of the property. So this is the OOTB page list that is being used, code pega list. So whatever the thing we are seeing on the clipboard, that property is this one. So there is one OOTB page list like pxResults, which is there in the code pega list. And what are all the results we have into, what are all the results we have in that pxResults that will be linked here. And this pxResults is linked to one class called code pega list. So that's why we are seeing this code pega list reference to this page. Okay, this page will be having reference to this data class. That's why this is reference to here. And this page will be having the data related to pxResult. pxResults is one OOTB page list which is there in a code pega list. So that's why this will be reference to this class and this will be reference to this class. Understood, no? So this particular page will be storing the data of this class. That's why it is referring to here. And this page, like state page, will be referenced to this page list. That's why it will be referenced like this. Understood now? And if we just click on this page list, sorry, if we just click on the particular page, we can able to see something like px result count, px SQL statement post, and px SQL statement pre. So these all are important. So by just seeing this px result count, this is one OOTP property, we can able to identify the number of results here. Okay. Suppose if you want to put some validations, so if you are not getting any of the data using Obj Browse, then how do we check? We can just check like state list dot px result count is less than 1 or is equal to 0. Then we can able to use it for the validation. Suppose using Obj Browse, if you are not getting any of the data, and if you want to use it for the processing, then we have to use this property. This property will be holding the number of results that has been retrieved. If it is not retrieving anything, count will be 0, and you can able to check that value with that 0 value. Okay, you can able to check that property with this 0 value. So px result count will be one OOTP property which will be holding the number of pages that has been retrieved using Obj Browse. Understood now? And there will be two other OOTP properties like px SQL statement post and px SQL statement pre. So these two are also the properties. Whenever we are running one Obj Browse, we are just defining the class name here. By just having the class name, PRPC can able to generate the query, and it can able to retrieve the data also. So what is the query that PRPC has been retrieving by just giving the class name using Obj Browse? That will be defined here. So in interviews they started asking these kind of questions. So if we just use Obj Browse, and if I want to see how the query has been generated without giving the class name, so this is how PRPC will be generating. So it will be given braces here, and it will be giving the class tag, and here it will be giving the class name, whatever the thing we are defining. So this is the query that PRPC will be generating in order to interact with the class. This is the class, and I want to interact the data from this class now. For that it will be generating one query here. And now, as I was saying, ultimately we'll be having the data in database only. So from database only, data has to be retrieved into PRPC, and from there it has to be displayed. This is completely internal database, so there will not be much pressure on PRPC. If we are trying to interact with the external database, it will be like a burden. So whenever we are using Obj Browse, PRPC will be generating this query based on the class name what we are giving, and then it will be converting itself pre-query into post query in order to interact with the database. So this is the post query. Database will be understanding only the table names. It will not understand anything about the class names. So that's why PRPC has to convert its pre-query into post query. By using database mapping rule, it will be identifying the table name, and it has to be generating the query like this, and it will be interacting the database, pulling the data, and it will be storing it here. So this is important. From where can we get the pre-SQL statement and post-SQL statement, they will be asking. So once we get the page ready onto the clipboard, if we just click on that page, we can able to see this px SQL statement post and statement pre. Using Obj Browse, it can able to construct one query using class names, and from there it has to convert itself into post queries, and this query is responsible for interacting with the database, and it will be pulling the data. Okay, understood? And by default, we will be getting only 10,000 records at the max. Here we will be getting only 10,000 records. Now if you want to restrict only for 1 or 2 or 3, whatever the thing we want, you can able to define it here. Although if we are getting 18 records here, if you want to restrict for only 5, just give the 5 and click on save. We'll be getting max 5 results only. And if you're not defining anything, at the max it will be pulling only 10,000 records. If you want to get more than that, we cannot use this Obj Browse. We can able to go for some other things like agents based on the business requirement. Suppose if I want to send one bulk email to all my customers, so Citibank or any of big organization will be having some millions of users. No, if I want to send one customized mail or some promotional mail or offers mail related to my organization, first thing what I have to do, I have to get all the list of email IDs. Okay, using Obj Browse I cannot able to get it. Why? Because I can able to get only 10,000 records. And if I want to get some millions of users at a time, and if we want to send some customized mail, we can able to go for agents in that case. We'll discuss about that later. And we'll discuss about this get row key and PZ dynasties. Okay, understood, no? And suppose if you want to put any of the conditions also, it is possible here. So by default, I am not putting any condition. So condition value has been kept blank. Okay, and if I want to put any conditions, suppose if I want to get the state values and state code and regional values, whose region value is of north. Okay, so contains north. If you just give like this, we should be getting only the results related to the north. Likewise, we can able to put any condition. If you want to sort it also, you can able to sort this. So what did I do? So click on clipboard. We should be getting less results now. So state list. We can able to search for the pxResult count directly. That is what we have explained now. And if you open it, we will be getting only 4 results. Why? Because only 4 results are matching based on this. So first it will be pulling all the results as per the state code, state name and state region. And out of all the 18 records pulled out, again it will be filtering out records which are having region value as north. So ultimately we are getting only 4 results here. Okay, so this is one of the record related to north. Likewise, and here if you want to put any extra conditions also, you can able to put it. If the value contains like AP or if the value starts with A, likewise we can able to use any of the conditions here. Okay, in order to get the same kind of data with these many functions using database, it will be very difficult. But with Obj Browse, it is made very easy. You can able to interact with this database directly with many conditions. So I want to pull all the results now. So I'm just saving this, and by default we'll be getting all the results. So this should be value only. And now what are the results I'm getting here? So I'm getting resound. Can you someone go on mute? So I'm just running this. Now I should be getting all the 18 results. So just click on clipboard to see all the 18 results. And as I told you, each and every record will be considered as an one page. So page list, this is one OOTP page list. pxResults is one OOTP page list which will be having the collection of pages. So ultimately page or page list will be having the values of properties only. So this is also one of the property. So when we are creating one single value properties, we are selecting it like an data model dash property. And when we are trying to create one page, what we have done? The same thing. We went to data model and created one page, and there we have changed the mode to single page, if you remember. And now if we want to create any of the page list for your business requirement, we have to do the same. We have to go to data model, go to the property and change the mode to page list. So ultimately all these are properties only. So property is one property, page is one property, and page list is also one of the property. Why? Because it will be holding the values of properties only. Similarly, there will be one more thing like page group. We'll discuss that later. So now we got the page, we got the details ready onto my clipboard. Once we get the data ready onto my clipboard, I can able to use this as a source to my drop down. So now let us work on the drop down. So you understood, no, both of you, Uma and Tulani, about this Obj Browse?
Yes, Chandra.
Uma, you also know?
Yes, Chandra.
Okay. So just practice at home after this class. It will be very easy. There is nothing like much tricky here. So just we have to practice, that's it.
Okay.
So I think we have created one section.
Mhm.
So I think we have created one section yesterday. We have created the section and included all the properties, I think. So region property is created, state selection, hospital selection. So properties are created. We have not saved the section, I guess. So let me create one new
No, we
section.
didn't create the section.
I think we have created, we have dropped, I mean, we have pulled all the drop down values, no, and showed you the source as well. Maybe I have not saved this. So now I'm creating one section like hospital selection and clicking on create and open. And now our requirement here is first we have to select the region value. Customer has to select the region value. Then after he has to select the state list. And from there he has to select the hospital list. So in internal cascading, we'll work on it later. And now if we just click on any of the drop down, or we'll be having source here, list source. So what should be the source? I want to have this as defined my property only, like northeast, southwest. Okay, I don't make any changes here. And now for this, I don't want to have any list source here. I don't want to have the list value defined on the property. I want to get it from other source, that is the data page. And in order to get the data from, I want to get it from the data type. And in order to get the values from data type or data table, both are same, I can able to have three sources. That is what it is showing. We can able to get using data page or the clipboard page or the report definition. Now let me select one clipboard page. If we are selecting one clipboard page, we have to define the page name here. So if I just open the clipboard, so this is the page. This is the page where I'm having the data. So state list. So if I just to provide state list, so it will it be understanding anything? If I just click on state list, I'm not getting any results. Okay, even PRPC will not be understanding anything. So if I just click on state list, or if I just define state list here, it will be searching here and it will not be resulting any values. Now if I just click on this, I mean this value, under this we are having all these records, no? So finally, when we're working with multiple pages or the page list, we have to define like state page name dot page list. Then only PRPC can able to understand all the results. So the page name here should be given like state list dot pxResults. Then it will be considering each and everything as the source and it will be pulling it. You have to remember this. So when you're working with page list, then you have to define the page name. Like if you want to use the page data from that page, you have to define like state list dot pxResults. So it is completely case sensitive, just be cautious, or just copy paste directly state list dot pxResults, capital R. So this is what we have to define. So if you are defining like this, PRPC is not understanding, it is throwing some error. So invalid data page or page list or page group, this is what it is throwing. Why? Because this is the page what we are creating manually from the using activity onto the clipboard. So PRPC has to understand whatever the data we are having in this page is referring to which class. So without the page and class, PRPC cannot able to start processing. So that's why we have to define this page in the pages and classes. The same thing what we have discussed in our activities discussion. If you are defining any of the page in the activity, what we have to define? We have to tell PRPC that this is the page that I'm trying to create, and this page will be having the data related to one class. That is what we are defining it in the pages and classes. No? Similarly, the same thing. The page what I'm trying to use for this section, PRPC will not understand the data what we will be having in this section unless we define it in the pages and classes. So this is the page I want to use into this section rule, and this section rule has to be notified that this particular page will be referring to one class. So what's the class? CHG data states. We are using state list.pxResults, and this will be linked to this class. So understanding, no? So this is blind practice. We have to define it in the pages and classes like state list.pxResults. And apart from this, we have to understand, we have to tell PRPC from where are we getting this PX results. So state list is from this value, it can able to understand. What about this PX results? What about this code pega list? Why? Because whenever it is coming to this class, it can able to understand this class has been defined and it can able to pull the data like pxResults 1, 2, 3. And there is something like code pega list also. This is the page which is referring to this class. So that's why we have to define this as well. So state list is referring to this class. Is referring to code pega list. So these two are the pages that has to be defined in every section rule wherever we are trying to use it. So now just double click and change this to clipboard page. Now just click on down arrow. We can able to select any of the page using down arrows. If you are clicking on dot and then down arrow, we'll be getting the property references. And if you are directly clicking on the down arrow, we'll be getting pages. So just to select the page. Now if I select the valid page, it is asking us to select any of these. How are we getting this particular page onto the clipboard? So this is because of data transfer, activity. I have to mark this checked and I have to select the activity. Okay. And this particular property has to be given with some display name. On display name, one property for the value, meaning one one display name should be given here and one value for the processing. That is what it is asking. Why? Because using this pxResults, it might be having multiple values. It will be having state code, state name, region, or anything. But ultimately, what is the value you want to show? That is what PRPC is asking us. I want to show state name. So if I want to get the property references, what we have to do? We have to click on dot first. So I want to show state name for the display purpose. And for the processing, I want to show state code. So you understood now? I'm just clicking on submit button. That's it. So what we have done, we have changed the source and we have to define the clipboard page. And what PRPC will be doing is whenever I'm running the work object ID, first it will be loading section 1, then after section 2, then after section 3. So whenever it is loading this section, then this first drop down will be loaded, and this second drop down, before it is getting loaded, what it will be doing, it will be just checking for the source. So first source has to be pulled out, then after this has to be visible on the user interface. No? So before loading this particular drop down, PRPC will be just checking for the source, and it will be creating one page on the clipboard by running one activity. Okay, so before this drop down is getting loaded, this activity has to be executed by this control, and this details what it is storing here, it will be storing onto this clipboard page, and from clipboard page it will be pulling all the results and it will be displaying the state names here, and in the backend it will be carrying the state codes. So you understood now? So ultimately this drop down value is responsible for running this activity. Before loading this particular drop down, it will be just checking for the source. If it is as defined by property, it will be simply loading it, and if not, it is like a clipboard page here. It will be creating one clipboard page by running one activity, and in between it will be pulling all the results and it will be storing onto this clipboard page. So once the data ready onto this clipboard page, it will be assigning all the state name values in the display purpose, and it will be assigning state code in the backend. Just click on submit and now save this. So you need not run activity manually. You understood, no? So activity will be automatically executed by loading this drop down value. So just preview this. We can able to test the section rules, no? That's what we have discussed. So this is as defined by property. There is no issue with this. Now, before this drop down value is getting loaded, what it will be doing? It will be running one activity and it will be storing all the values onto the clipboard page, and that clipboard page will be considered as a source to this drop down, and here we will be getting all the state name values in the display purpose. Now if I select AP or Assam here, and if we just click on clipboard for the processing, it will not be having this value stored. So this selected drop down value will be having the state code value assigned to that, and this is just for the display purpose. You understood, no, both of you? So let me leave this as blank. Now let me create one flow action and run the flow quickly. I want to show you the state code, how it is linking in the clipboard. So let me create one flow action as well. So in tomorrow's class, we'll just link the hospital dropdown in the same process first. Then after we'll start how to pull the same data using report definition. Or you can able to practice this hospital using activities. First you create one Obj Browse activity. Then after you follow the same process for the hospital dropdown. So if you are getting any doubts, we'll discuss that tomorrow. Else we'll just use the next approach, like how to pull the same data using report definition. Sorry, I already have the flow now. So understood now, both of you?
Yes, Chandra.
So I'm trying to create one new assignment shape here. So you try to implement that. If you're not getting, we'll discuss that tomorrow. And tomorrow's class, we'll discuss how to get the same data, like pulling multiple instances using report definition and how to assign it. Sorry, how to assign it there. So there will be some important points about Obj Browse in interviews. They'll be asking you something like pxResult count, statement pre, statement pro, sorry, statement post. So you can able to see this now. Whenever this particular flow action is getting loaded, on clicking on submit button of this previous screen, we will be getting this screen. So first this particular flow action will be loaded. So to be more technical, first this harness will be loaded and it will be loading this flow action, and it will be loading the corresponding section here, and the first drop down will be loaded, and the second drop down. Before loading the second drop down, it will be checking for the source, and in that source it will be running one activity, and activity will be loaded, and it will be pulling all the results in and it will be storing all the results in that corresponding clipboard page, and that data will be considered as a source to this. Okay, so from here we'll be getting all the things here. Suppose if we don't want to get this value selected by default, you can able to use one placeholder. So we have already discussed, I think, about placeholder. So just include it here. So I'll be giving you two assignments now. So try to implement this hospital list using Obj Browse. What is the approach we are doing it now? And then after, just check for the same in the tracer. So this is the third screen, let us say. So in the second screen, just click on submit, and before clicking on submit button, put the tracer on. Okay, put the tracer on, click the submit, and then after just check whether that activity is being executed successfully or not. So what is the Obj Browse activity we are creating? We have tested it using clipboard, and now I'll ask you to just check for the same. How are we getting this pxResults or the multiple results in the tracer? So you do that. So if you get any doubts, tomorrow we'll discuss. If you want me to explain tomorrow also, I can able to do the same for both the assignments. So understood now, both of you?
Yes.
So tomorrow's class we will be working on this drop down value population, and then after we will be having this cascading values. So this Andhra value is related to south, but I'm selecting north here. I should not be getting the other regional values. I should be getting only the values related to north. So this will be filtered out. So in our yesterday's, in our previous approach, we have seen, if I select north, I should be getting only 4 values. In the Obj Browse, we have given one condition like region should be of north. Okay, there we will be getting only 4 results. Here also we should be getting 4 results only. And in the result, what I'm trying to get here, these values are to be filtered out. Okay, so in this Obj Browse, we need not have this value also. We need not have this region value. We will not be using it anywhere. You can able to delete this if you want, or if you want to keep it as up to you. Okay, I'm winding up.
Can you tell me the assignments, like So we need to create a hospital list using Obj Browse, and then we have to, when we run the commands, we have to trace how the fields it will be with the tracer, right? Next to
Yes, yes.
clipboard.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
one.
So what I'm
Okay.
trying to say here is this activity will not be executed whenever we are trying to create the work object. So on just running this activity, I just wanted to let you know when this activity is getting executed. On clicking on submit button of the second screen only, this is my third screen. On clicking on submit button, before loading this section, I mean before loading this drop down value, I am saying that activity will be loaded in the clip in the tracer. We can able to see it. So just check that. Anyways, I'll show it tomorrow also. If you're not getting, you try to explore from your end. That's what I'm telling. I'll show it tomorrow also, no issues.
Okay.
Another thing is you follow the same Obj Browse approach for this hospital value and try to get this value populated. So tomorrow, before you come into class, my expectation here is you have to get all the drop down values populated. This is already we have done. You try to practice it, and this is also you can able to do that. If you're not getting, I can able to show it to you in less than 2 minutes. Tomorrow in first class, I mean tomorrow the first thing we'll do this first.
Okay.
So try to practice, else I'll help you, no issues. Okay then. Yeah, both of you clear now? Kulani, you also?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.